Welcome to ZU, the podcast of Zeppelin University, between business, culture and politics. Hello everyone out there, this is Michael Scheyer from Zeppelin University Communications, and this episode of ZU podcast is different than the other ones before because, as you might recognize, I'm talking in English. And that's because we're having a premiere, the first international episode of ZU podcast, and I do have someone with me helping me with my, good enough English to be better. And this is Nina Möller. She's working at the international office, and she's there for every concerns international students might have at the Zeppelin University, of course. Hello, Nina.
Hi, Michael. Hi.
Hi. And of course, we're not talking about our office alone and our Zeppelin University alone. We want to talk to someone who's actually experiencing studying here at Zeppelin University, coming from another country. And this is Samuel Newman. Hi, Sam.
Hi, Michael. Good morning.
Can I call you Sam? It's actually, I just did that on, I don't know, I didn't think about it. It was just like, felt the right way to say Sam.
Yeah, I mean, I always say to people I meet first, like, Sam or Samuel, whatever you prefer, it's, the diplomatic way to go.
That's great. I feel like I have a different nickname from my own name, like from anyone can choose which one, because Michael has many forms of like Michi, Michele, Don Miguel. Someone says Don Miguel all the time, but it's just a joke, of course. But we're not here to talk about me, because people listening to the ZU podcast also know a little bit about me, because I'm, quite often the host. First of all, please excuse Sam. I have to talk to Nina first. Nina, maybe you can tell us what you actually therefore, for the international students, what do you help with? What is the things that they can come to you with?
Yes, of course. We are a team of 3 people in the international office, and me and my colleague Barbara, we take care of the incoming students that are with us here at ZU for 1 semester, 2 semesters, coming from one of our partner universities, like Sam does. We sometimes we say we are kind of their mom a little bit. We take care of administrative stuff that they need to prepare in before they come to Germany, housing, visa related issues, insurance, but then of course as well academic matters like course selection. Getting settled in Germany. We are in the office every day, and they just come by, and we just hear what they need, and we try to help.
Of course. I mean, there are so many things you have to know about going to a different country. It's not only the studying thing for this one course. And I'm very happy to have you here, because I have to know like everything, but I can't know everything. And so whenever there is a question about the international stuff, I can push the question over to you. Okay. So, Sam, actually, we just in the beginning would like to know, what are you studying? In what semester are you? And where are you from?
I'm from Great Britain, if my accent didn't give that away too much. I study pair at Zeppelin, and this is obviously now my 2nd semester here. Back in the UK, it would be my 6th semester, and I study just a major international relations, and so it's basically exactly the same.
Okay, do you remember the first German word that you ever heard?
Yeah, I've actually got a weird story about this as well. And it's one of the main reasons why I actually wanted to study in Germany, because I was 15 or 16 years old at the time, and there was a German exchange student that came to my college. She was called Caroline, and she taught me loads of stuff at first. She was like, if there's one word you need to remember, it was Schmetterling, butterfly. And I have no idea why Schmetterling, but that's the only word I remembered for the entire time, my first German word. And now I know obviously a lot more than Schmetterling, and it's also my favorite German word because of that story.
It is a beautiful German word. You know, I know this YouTube clips about how German sounds and how all other languages sounds. And then there are like people always pronouncing Schmetterling like Schmetterling. And of course, if you pronounce it this way, it doesn't sound right. But I mean, actually, you pronounce it a lot softer in German, like Schmetterling. Schmetterling. Well, what a great German word. I like it very much. So, what did other people say when you thought about, well, let's go to Germany? I mean, did they say, you must be stupid, that language, I mean, it's so hard to learn. I mean, or did it never occur to you that German might be any kind of problem?
Well, I was a little bit nervous at first because I never did German in school or anything like that. And even me coming to Germany was quite spontaneous. You know, I remember telling my friends, my family, oh, you know, I've got the opportunity to study abroad in Germany. And they're like, oh, Sam, you don't know German. Are you going to be okay with that? We'll see when we get there. We'll see how it is. I mean, I've done French and Spanish in school before, and I didn't really do very well with those languages, I think. I started to get like Duolingo on my phone in the months before I came to Germany just to see how it was. And now I get complimented all the time for my German from my family back in the UK. So I think I've done pretty good for my German so far. So I think it's a really lovely language. I think not enough credit goes to German. You know, everyone goes, oh, Italian's really nice, Spanish, French. There was, you know, the Romance languages, but I think when you really do put effort into German, I think it's equally, if not more beautiful than those other languages. But I'm a bit biased, I guess, for saying that.
Can you put a percentage on how much German and English you have to use when studying here?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, Zeppelin's, you know, got quite a big community of English speakers here. I think, you know, there's some Germans that speak better English than I do. So I don't really need to think you need to know that much German. Maybe for the Mensa and the cafeteria, just to, you know, say good morning or hello, then yeah. Or I always say like, you know, wie geht's or, you know, good morning or something like that. But primarily English will get you, you know, around Zeppelin quite easily. Friedrichshafen's a bit different for the language. I'd say, you know, for the university, you can survive on, you know, 90% English, you know, 10% German. If you really tried, the city's obviously a different story. That's probably the reverse. I mean, it's the difference between a city and a university.
I mean, Germany is quite good educated in English language. I had this statistics like, not long ago, I read about China, that there are more Chinese people on earth speaking English than Americans. Because, I mean, they're like a billion people, over a billion people. If only half of them speak a little bit English, then there are more people talking English than Americans, because they're only, I think, like 320 million or something like that. So, there are lots of people, but of course it's a matter of how good, yeah. We talked about this before this episode of how good English must be, of course. But, you know, when you're in a group and when you're in and now I'm missing the word. What's this? The room we're sitting in. In the classroom. Okay. Yeah. You're in the classroom and you talk about stuff and there are other people there helping you with the language. Does it happen also with German all the time?
Yeah. 100%. I mean, the classes here are, you know, very diverse, you know, almost 50-50 German international students, and the international students, you know, really do speak English. That's the language that sort of bonds us together. If there's a German word we don't know, you know, the German students really do emphasize on helping us with that. You know, they're really good with that. You know, in the streets now, if I see a German student, they speak German to me as much as possible to help me. And it's the reverse as well. If, you know, there's a student that's doing a presentation, for example, and it's in English and they're kind of struggling, you know, they've always been welcome to approach any of the internationals, not just me, who is an English, you know, native speaker, to say, oh, what is this room we're in? What is the car? What is the chair? Or anything, you know, like that. It could be really simple things. And, you know, I think that's what really helps, people integrate in is, we're comfortable learning each other's languages as casually as we are.
Mm-hmm. Nina, are there actually, like basics that you need to have for studying at the Zeppelin University? I mean, like proof of,
Yeah. Well, of course, we require every student that comes to us to be we call it in good academic standing. That is something that the partner university kind of makes sure that everyone coming to us is kind of all right with in their study. But language-wise, we require a so-called B2 English level. That is a language certificate that you can submit with the application, and then everything is good. If you want to study in German, then B2 is the level as well. So it's not a problem at all. Like a B2 level you can manage. Like really you can manage. I don't know what your opinion is on that, because you know how your fellow students speak, and it's fine. It's really fine. You can definitely follow a class with this level, and exams as well. So no problem, I guess. We never had really problems with someone not speaking good English.
Now I have a trick question. If I'm good enough in B2 German, will I be able to understand Niklas Luhmann's Systemtheorie?
This is tricky. On your pre-knowledge? I don't know. I don't know. I've never studied in a different language. Mm-hmm. Not on a university level. So if someone, for example, if someone comes to our university not as an exchange student, but like a full degree seeker, for a German bachelor's degree, the language requirement is a C1 in German. So that means that you almost have to be a native speaker, if you come from a different country to follow a full degree here. But I mean, for an exchange semester, you kind of look for classes that somehow are taught in English, and not so, and the literature is in English then as well. Mm-hmm. So, it works.
It works, yeah. The trick about the question was, of course, nobody understands Niklas Luhmann's Systemtheorie. You can talk as good as English, a good German as the only person ever understood Niklas Luhmann's Systemtheorie was Niklas Newman and nobody else. I mean, he's like the smartest brain ever. But, I still have this book at my home, Einführung in die Systemtheorie, Introduction into System Theory. And ever I studied in Constance. I started my own university time in the city of Constance. I had this book, and I still have the plan to read it one day and understand Niklas Luhmann's system theory. So this is just a side note. But of course, it wasn't the language alone that made you decide studying abroad. Abroad is the wrong word. Studying in another country. And what else came to your mind? What else was the reason that you thought, well, probably Germany? Why not, of course, America? I mean, it would be like a different country as well, but of course with a little easier situation based on the language.
I mean, I think, well, for me personally, I didn't want to study a semester abroad or 2 semesters abroad in a country that already speaks English. This is an opportunity for me and, other English speakers to be really thrown in the deep end and be forced to learn another language. And that was definitely one of the main things for me. We were always told, if you want to learn a new language, go to a different country. We obviously do learn languages in the UK, but, I barely know anyone that can speak another language. So that was, and I really wanted to stay in sort of like Europe. I'm in an environment I'm quite familiar with. I've been to Spain, I've been to Italy, I've been to France. So I know that kind of what the cultures are like in Europe compared to, say, America or China or Australia or something like that, which would be really way out my comfort zone. So yeah, the idea that, I'm not too far away from home, but it's far away enough was sort of the main principle. and Germany in particular, because I never actually been to Germany before. I always wanted to go to Germany, particularly southern Germany, you know, with the Alps and Switzerland just around the corner. So when I found out, Zeppelin, I was like, oh, that's pretty much exactly what, you know, I want. And I need, you know, because I've already been to Spain, Norway, other few places. So I wanted something completely different, which I think is the best you can ask for this kind of opportunity.
We did not explain to the audience who doesn't have a clue about our shortcuts what PAIR actually is. What is PAIR, and why did you want to study PAIR especially?
So PAIR is Politics, Administration and International Relations. It's sort of one of the, I think it's one of the more popular sort of courses here at Zeppelin University. And it's very multidisciplinary. You know, it tackles everything from economics, philosophy, international relations. There's quite a broad scope of subjects, but it's all the subjects that I've been learning in the UK already, and they sort of correlate with what, you know, I already know and what I want to study further on. You know, there's been quite a strong emphasis here at Zeppelin for like security studies, and PAIR has a lot to do with that. And so it sort of reinforced what I'm already studying and what I want to study for my masters in the future, that kind of thing. So
in the end, you're looking for a career in politics, UN, or anything like.
We'll see. We'll see how well my grades are. But you know, I do want to specialize in something, you know, diplomatic, some kind of liaison with NATO, UN. You know, once upon a time the EU was an option, not so much anymore. Which obviously is great as well. You know, living in another country really does strengthen the idea of going into the foreign service.
So is it, of course, when you're thinking about European Union, a European country, also like the biggest European country makes a sense concerning the population. But what about China? What about Asia? I mean, politics is like shifting to Asia on a very high demanding level. I mean, China might or will be probably one of the big players in the future. Why not thinking about Asia?
That's a very good question. I don't think I've ever had that before. For me, I think it's just the culture aspect. You know, I think the geography of that region is really beautiful, and the people that I've met from these countries are wonderful and really, really polite compared to, you know, what I've experienced in other countries in Europe, for example. And yeah, you're right. There is a huge shift in sort of the powers I mentioned of the globe. You know, we've seen, you know, India, China, their GDP, you know, is increasing at a rate so much quicker than the US, for example. And we always think, you know, the US is this dominant economic power militarily as well. But obviously, you know, the past 10 years, we've seen that really, really shift. But, you know, these are subjects you can learn about, you know, here at Zeppelin. You know, there was a course last semester on Asian politics, for example, and the sort of regional developments, and it's really up to date. I don't necessarily think you have to, you know, go to these regions to study this too much if you don't want to. And I know personally I would not thrive in China or South Korea or Japan or anything. The cultural difference would freak me out. I absolutely know it. With here, you guys, you know, drink lovely beer, you've got mountains, you all speak English, you know, that's a comfort level I know I can sort of integrate in quite well. Whereas, you know, in those sort of East Asian countries, I would probably be very nervous to sort of try and learn a very difficult language and cultural customs I've never even seen on the television, for example.
That's true. Yeah. I had a trip, in India, 3 weeks backpacking, and it was like, I do tell today this is like one of the biggest adventures I had in my life because traveling with backpack in a complete different culture. I mean, like completely different it is an adventure. It's quite a thing to do. I was in Japan 2 months also. There's a big cultural difference, but the Japanese, it was already 20 years ago. I was very young, 20 years. And the Japanese said, well, the Germans are actually the only country or culture in the world that is pretty close to Japan because, well, actually, you know, they're punctual, they're on time, and they like uniforms, and everything is so strict and there are rules, and this is why they like Germany so well. And India, I mean, it's like actually the total contradiction to this. It's like the opposite way. But Nina, where do actually the most of our students come from? I mean, where are they from? Do we know that actually?
Yeah, well, we have, to be honest, it's all over the world.
All over the world.
They come from all over. We have a big crowd from European countries. That is probably somehow connected to the scholarship program Erasmus, because there's quite a big fund that students get if they come to Germany. Well, Sam, I'm very sorry, but because the UK somehow got out of the Erasmus program because of Brexit. So he's not getting any scholarships.
Okay.
So this is really unfortunate.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. Other than that, besides Europe, we do have a lot of overseas students here. The US, Japan, Taiwan, China as well, South Korea, Latin America, like lots of Colombians, Mexicans, sometimes Brazil. So, depending on where our partner universities are, we have kind of a really frequent exchange. And that means that if they come to us, like our students, our German students, go abroad to these countries as well. So, this is really, like every semester we send out like, 100 to 200 German students, to our partner university as well.
When was the last time you were in a faraway country? Do you remember? Yeah, you. Oh, you did. Oh.
Beijing, in November. That has been a really great, experience, because what we didn't know, there was the Half Moon Festival. And, there was somehow a coincidence that the Half Moon Festival, which is a big national holiday, somehow fell together with another national holiday. So all Chinese people had a 1-week vacation, which is kind of rare for China. So, and everyone was visiting within the country. So we read in the paper that almost 400 million domestic travelers were within this week. It was just 1 week in Beijing, and that was where we were as well. So there was lots of like celebrations, what is it? The sites, what is it? How do you call it? Like the
sightseeing, like, yeah, okay.
The places where everyone,
yeah.
The site, it was crowded. You couldn't manage. Yeah. You couldn't use a taxi. You couldn't use the public transportation. It was, but nevertheless, it was a really great experience. So, to be honest, I'm really keen on getting to know these different cultures. So for me, it was a total adventure. Like India is totally different. I know. Yeah. I've been to India, but it's, China. I don't know if that would be my first choice to move to. I rather prefer South Korea.
Okay, yeah.
So I really like Japan. I've been there this year as well. So, yeah. So that is why I travel a lot, to be honest. And, it's always really great to welcome like people from those countries here. Because I somehow, then, for example, if I go to Japan and I feel that there's a really weird custom, right? then I asked, that happened actually. I asked a student who came here, like, who was from Japan, I told her the story, what happened to me, and then I tried to find out with her explanation, why is that?
Okay.
Like, why do you, why are people like doing this, right? I don't know. For example, in Japan, there's no public, what is it?
Rubbish bin.
Rubbish
Yeah,
bin.
yeah.
There's nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you take your rubbish with you.
Mm-hmm.
When you're on a trip, you just take it in your backpack back home and then you put it in the bin.
Mm.
And I'm like, why is that? So I found out that it was because of the terrorist attack back in the day.
Oh, because of the poisonous gas.
Yes.
Right.
And
They
that's
dropped-
what the Japanese just did was, okay, we just ban all the rubbish bans from the public areas. That there's no chance to put like a bomb in the.
Right. The poisonous gas bomb were in the rubbish bins back then. That's why they, yeah.
So, So I'm just really, this is really the best job I have.
It sounds like a good job. Yeah, it's so great. Yeah.
University, this is actually the perfect position for me, being.
So it's not just about studying in another language, but even to get to know other cultures and their perspectives. And why did I'm sorry, I have to tell. This is a wonderful story about Japan, but only I heard it on a radio. It was a radio feature, like I don't know, 3 years ago. When were the Summer Olympics in Tokyo? They were 2020, right, or 2021 because it was delayed 1 year because of Corona. There was this radio feature and there was this reporter and he said, I went to a stadium in Japan and I dropped my what's it called? The rain protection, the umbrella. I dropped my umbrella. It was a small black umbrella, something to fold to get out. And he said, well, it was a expensive one. So he looked for a lost and found. He asked, is there a lost and found? It was an expensive umbrella. I would like to see if somebody found it. And of course, in Japan, everything gets found. Even the money bills get taken to the lost and found. So they told him, yes, there's a lost and found, one for complete Tokyo area. So he had to go in Tokyo to this lost and found, and he told, yeah, I lost this black umbrella. And the guy taking care of his question, he asked, well, can you describe it? Because we have something around 25,000 black umbrellas here. And then he made this feature about this lost and found in Tokyo, because whenever there's something lost, I mean, there are like thousands and thousands of pieces and they write down everything, the exact time, the exact place, and how the description. So Japanese take very care of everything that gets lost, and even the money bills, you have to describe how they looked, if there was like a fold or anything, so they can really figure out, well, there are 2,000, I don't know, 20 yen bills, and this is yours. So this is really what you can call devotion. I mean, that's what Japan is about. I mean, they care about every little piece, right? I'm sorry. I just had to tell that because that's like one of the greatest stories I heard about Japan from the Olympics.
Actually, there's this one, we go like to, an international, like twice a year, there's a big international educational, convention. One is in Europe in September, and then there's one in the US, and there's actually one in Asia, but we only go to the one in the US and to meet our partner universities. And then last year we went to Washington DC, and then there's a welcome reception, it's a big conference, 6,000 people, and so from all over the world. And then we were in a big baseball stadium, right, in DC. And then there was food and drinks and music, and there wasn't a game. It was just the location, the venue that was really great, right? So, and then there was, of course, because there was food, there was rubbish on in the rows, between the rows. You know what? The Japanese colleagues, they really, after the event, they take everything with them and put it away, which is, I really like it. I really, really appreciate their how they treat not only people but also the environment and everything. So in Japan itself, but also Japanese people in foreign countries, they have this really great way of just
respecting,
being polite and being respectful. Yes. And so, they cleaned up the space. The stadium, it was a public stadium, and not only their rubbish, right? Yeah. It was so this is great. Actually, we had, you lived together with a Japanese girl, right?
Yeah, I was willing to be. I lived with the only Japanese international from sort of last semester and this semester. She's called Rio. And so the way you've been describing is exactly how she's like at home as well. Very, very clean, but in a very nice, polite way. You know, whenever we go out anywhere, you know, she's always got her rubbish and she's already, you know, very clean. And, you know, even if there's other international students that, you know, forget to take their rubbish with them or put them in the bin, you know, she'll be like, put your rubbish in the, you know, away, put it in the bin. You know, don't just leave it there. So that's really nice as well. And it's sort of, you know, it improves the way we look, you know, at this culture as well. You know, even if I've accidentally like left a crisp packet or something in the kitchen, which, you know, I wouldn't do, but hypothetically, you know, she would tell me, you know, put that in the bin. And I like that because I'm like, oh, you're right. You know, I do need to put that in the bin. I do need to sort of take care of my surroundings. So, you know, like you were saying, I really appreciate sort of that cultural element as well. And Rio is definitely the most polite, nicest international that I've experienced as well here. So.
Well, actually, I have to say, any international student that I have met before is incredibly wonderful. And there's not that there's one nation that we actually would in any way prefer. So, but this is a cultural thing. I mean, we just want to point out, we look at this and when it's different to ours. Was there anything you weren't prepared for in Germany that we should have prepared you? I mean, something that, you know, the quirky Germans, like, what's about them?
Yeah, I think I have a list, really. No, I think the main thing for me, and it's across all the international students, definitely is your train systems. You know, we are constantly told from a young age, German trains are the best. You know, they are punctual, they're there. German engineers know what they're doing. And we're like, oh, I can't wait to see what your trains are like here. The first month, I hated your trains. All of us were like, no, we're going to take the Flixbus, we're going to take the bike, because all the delays and things. So that was kind of earth-shattering for us. But, you know, it's still a nice experience as I go, this idea of German engineering, it's not exactly how it was in real life. But, I mean, we had strikes at the minute, actually. But, no, I think the main thing was I was really expecting Germans to be very cold, very sort of professional and very formal in the way they talk. We see the stereotype, you know, the very aggressive language we said earlier. So I was kind of worried that I wouldn't fit in very well and integrate, and the other internationals would really struggle with the cultural difference that we sort of stereotypically understood from Germans. But, you know, it was actually the complete opposite. It was really refreshing to come to a country here and other people from all around the world. And the Germans have been absolutely forgiving in every way, so helpful and, you know, kind. And they've always been there. You know, there's the buddy system, which we can probably talk about a bit later. And that is, you know, a testament to how friendly the people are here. That I think was the biggest, sort of difference that I was expecting, but definitely one of the best.
There was, a couple of years ago, there was a quite big media coverage on the first English joke book about Germany that came out. And it was more like, like, it was a book about jokes, of course, and jokes are, of course, some kind of aggressive, but it was more like a thing between friends. So it was a book, look at those Germans, they're like funny, but they're cool. And there was a big media coverage because the first time in the world, the first time Germans felt like, oh, they like us, you know. Apparently, there are people out there, we're not so bad as everyone thinks we are, because that's our own perspective. It was like, apparently it was like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, like the Germans, those technical bad guys in the world, whatever, like cold and I think there is something to it. I mean, of course there is something to it, but also maybe by, you know, this young generation traveling all over the world, maybe this does something and opens up and shows we're not after all so bad.
I mean, funny enough, I think I've experienced more sort of nice, friendly people sort of outside than I do in the UK. I mean, a few months ago, I sort of hiked sort of through Switzerland a little bit. And obviously I know that's not Germany, but they are German speakers and the culture is very similar here. And people in the street will be like, you know, hello. I'm like, why are you saying hello to me? I have no idea who you are. Or I'll get on the bus and, you know, an old lady literally the other day came and sort of sat next to me and she started talking to me in German. I was like, you know, speak German, I'm sorry. And then she's like, oh, English. And I was like, yeah, I speak English. And then she was trying to speak English to me. It wasn't the best, but, you know, she tried and things like that. And that doesn't really happen where I'm from in the UK. So, you know, I really like that as well. And you go to the shops and people will try and speak English if you don't know German very well. You know, they always say hello in the streets or, you know, I like your coat or something like that. So that's probably, you know, beats down the stereotype a little bit, which is quite nice for us.
There's this one sitcom I really love. It's already a little bit older. It's called 30 Rock. I don't know if you ever heard about it. In the main character, Tina Fey, this US comedian, and Alec Baldwin. And it's a really great, highly appreciated by critics comedy. And there's this one scene that always comes to my mind concerning this. There, the story goes, German investors buy NBC. And then there's the scene where the three Germans are in the room and they buy it and they sign the contract and then they shake hands. And then they do, and the audience won't see what I'm doing, but I'm trying to explain. They take their hand and hit their necks like this. And I don't get what it is, because I don't know. Is it supposed to be a German thing? I never saw that. I don't know what this should be, but those Germans do that. I mean, they shake hands and then looking at each other, they do like, and I don't know what it is. And I really try hard asking people, do you ever, and do you know what it means? So apparently there are things out there concerning Germans that are not actually real. But okay, is there anything you would recommend international students like doing first when you come here? What's the first thing you should do? What makes sense? What does not make sense in getting to know Germans and the Zeppelin University?
I mean, I know personally, I was quite nervous coming here in the first few weeks. You know, I didn't speak German or anything like that. A whole new country, whole new people. I think all of us were really sort of frightened to get out there and ask for help and ask for directions, ask to go to parties, this kind of thing. But obviously now things have changed. And I know, you know, the people here are really friendly. And I think my biggest advice to someone new coming here would just be confident. Just say what you want to say. I promise it's not that scary. You know, it's not that difficult to learn the new language if you try and if you ask for help. You know, you can ask to go to parties. You can ask, you know, I've had Germans who've driven me to Kaufland, for example. If I know I'm going to have a big shop, I'm like, you know, can you come with me or something? I'm a bit nervous. Or if I have a question, anything, they're really accommodating and people always are naturally quite scared to come here and try and integrate in a community that's already been formed, but just try, just ask, just say hello, just try, and it'll be fine. It will actually be fine.
You already mentioned the buddy program. I mean, does that help also? Can you explain what it is? Or maybe Nina or?
Yeah.
So the buddy program, is, basically a matching between like a German student and an incoming student or international student. So the German student get in contact with the foreign student and before they come to Germany, and they just chat or talk and figure out where to live or what to bring or whatever has to be organized. I don't know. Once they're here, best case scenario is that they get picked up at the airport or at the train station, and then maybe just get settled a little with grocery shopping or, I don't know, things like cell phone contracts, the German phone number, things like that. Or going to a foreigner's office, for example, administrative stuff. And then, if it works out very well, so maybe, a real friendship can evolve somehow. And during the semester, they still meet. Sometimes it's even a language, kind of tandem buddy. So if we ask the German students first, do you have any preference regarding the language the incoming student is coming from? And then we kind of try to match. Some Germans have already experience with different countries, so we try to match that. Sometimes it works. Sometimes, to be honest, it doesn't work. Sometimes the chemistry is not good.
Of course, yeah.
But that's normal. I mean, it's normal if you just throw people together. But it somehow works out most of the time.
So who's your buddy? Do you actually have a buddy right now?
I have a buddy called Linus.
Okay.
He's, with the way I describe him to the other internationals, he's got like, I always say, he's got like wavy blonde hair, really surfer, sort of chill vibe. He was really, really helpful, as sort of Nina was saying, with me trying to find accommodation here, and I see him at the uni. Always have a chat. It's really nice. But yeah, that's my buddy.
Okay. Very cool.
Hope he listens.
Now, one day, this wonderful and exciting and never recurring greatest time in your life studying at Zeppelin University will come to an end. Do you actually think of maybe even staying here? Or was it, I mean, not that I want to push you in any way, but does it occur to you that there might be a chance that there might be a career for you in Germany? Or do you more like think of returning home and maybe have like international affairs? I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny you should say that actually, because I spoke to Nina yesterday about sort of like the master program, because sort of preemptively to come to Germany, I already knew, where I wanted to do my master's in the UK. That was my sort of immediate goal. Coming here for the past 5 months, I've completely changed my mind. I'm going to really try and come back to Zeppelin for my master's in a year and a half or whatever it is. And, depending on how my German goes, I would absolutely love to stay. I think one of the first jokes I made when I came to Germany was in this room, actually, when we did the application of the visa. And I said to Nina, I was like, where's the citizenship box? As a joke, I was like, yeah, where is that? But now I've sort of really thought about it, and I've mentioned it to my family a few times. I really like living in Germany. I really like it here. And they're like, if that's where you want to be, if that's what makes you happy, do it. My family's really supportive with me exploring the world and finding where I want to be. And, it is kind of tricky thinking about leaving, the UK. I've lived there for 25 years now. That's where I grew up. I have all my memories there, but I really do think Germany is a wonderful country, and I think I could see myself being here. I'm constantly researching the citizenship laws, which just changed. For example, I'm looking at the passports going, I could have that. I'm looking at the language going, I need to learn this, all for the possibility of staying in Germany.
Please understand this as a joke question, but when your parents said, whatever it's good for you. Did they say like, what did we do wrong? Accepted, or hey, so great. He's like having like a known perspective and he's getting his own thing.
I think a bit of both, probably. I mean, with the UK at the minute, don't get me wrong, it's a lovely country. But me and my family have not been the happiest there with Brexit and with COVID and all these just negative things that have happened again and again and again. Sort of the state of the economy, all of it is a really strong push factor for us to leave. And, you know, my father, he loves to travel, for example. He loves to get away. He loves to go to, you know, little warm islands. My grandparents, you know, travel all the time, all over the world. You know, they're on one cruise ship 1 month, another cruise ship the other month, for example. So I think inherently we're wanderers. We like to travel. Mm-hmm. And so they're definitely, you know, seriously in a supportive way. Obviously, they're going to miss me being here, but they know already how much I've thrived being here. So yeah, they're definitely the nicer option, I think. Anyway, unless they're lying to me.
I'm pretty sure they're pretty proud of you being here, doing your own stuff on, you know, like, how do you say, independent way. That's like, I don't have kids yet, but as far as my parents are concerned, and I got 4 brothers and sisters, so we're a big family there, and we all do completely different things. But my parents are always proud when we do everything on our own and don't call them for help or anything. So if you do that, I'm pretty sure your parents will be proud as well. So I'm just figuring it out from my own parents. But now we're here at 45 minutes. And I love this conversation. I could go on for hours, but I don't want to make it long, like just by artificial questions. Is there anything you want to let us know, like about your studying here, your way about your perspective on being an international student at Zeppelin University? It's going to be like your final word in this podcast episode.
This is definitely from my own perspective, and that would be just to take every opportunity you can here. You know, I don't think people truly appreciate what these opportunities are for you. You know, even if it's just the networking, meeting people from all over the world, learning a language, trying the cuisine, seeing the sights and traveling. Towards the first sort of weeks of the semester, I said to myself, say yes. If you get an opportunity to go to Strasbourg or Munich or go to a party or try new food, say yes. I think that's what I would tell every international student to do here. Say yes.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sam, for joining this podcast episode. Thanks, Nina, for joining me as my co-host, and thanks to you too. I think this was a beautiful first international episode, and I'm looking very much forward to the next one that we, like maybe in 2 or 3 months will do. And so I wish you a great completing, I don't know, now in the end, I missed the word. I don't know how to say. I wish you a successful completion of your studies here.
Thank you.
And thank you very much. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you for listening to See You, the podcast of Zeppelin University. All information about our degree programs and research areas can be found on the internet at zu.de. We are looking forward to your visit and say, see you next time.